Hello everyone and welcome to another casual review. Today I'm talking about Golf Story. Golf Story is an RPG golfing game. It's not a combination that people often associate with each other, but it works surprisingly well. Now, I'm not at all really interested in actual real golfing, but I have been a fan of previous golf games. The one that sticks out to me the most is Mario Golf Toadstool Tour on the GameCube. That one was absolutely amazing, and it's probably the most I've ever been into golfing. The mechanics from that game actually relate a lot to the mechanics in this golf game as well. Whenever you do play a golfing video game, you kind of know what to expect. You basically have this little slider at the bottom. The first time you press A controls the power, and the second time you press A controls the trajectory of the golf ball. And so golf video games have kind of had this similar gameplay for decades now at this point. Over the years, they've gotten a little more wacky depending on what golf game you're playing, and so there are often like course hazards. Like in this game, one of the beginning courses that you play through, there are these little moles, and if your ball drops down next to one of these little moles, they'll take it and put it in an inconvenient spot. Sometimes if you get it into these circles of water, then a little turtle will help you like bounce your golf ball. And so these little obstacles just make the golfing a lot more interesting and oftentimes more challenging as well. You also need to, of course, take into account the like wind speed on your course. So if there is a lot of wind and you're lofting your ball fairly high up into the air, you need to account for that wind and maybe like overcorrect a little bit. Also, like when you're trying to putt it on the green, you need to take into account like the slope of the green. But there's nothing more satisfying than when you take all these different factors into account and then you get like that eagle, or even sometimes like a hole-in-one. It feels really good. I think that this game offers a lot of different variety in terms of the courses that you're playing through as well. So sometimes you're playing through these courses that are really unkept, so there's a ton of like rough spots and puddles and all of these weeds all over the place, and it is actually kind of fun playing throughout these wackier courses. Sometimes you're playing in more of like a caveman-esque area, like prehistoric area with a bunch of tar pits all over. There's like a more spooky Halloween course that you can play through. And so that's like the core base gameplay of this game. But I think where this game really shines are in its story, its humor, and these like RPG mechanics, because as you are doing little side missions and completing courses, you're going to be accruing money and you're going to be accruing experience points. And whenever you level up, you can use these experience points to allocate in different areas to improve your swing. And so the first thing you're probably going to want to go for is just increasing your power, so you can just use that driver to hit that ball as far as you possibly can. But if you just focus on that one point, it's going to make your other skills lesser then. And so if you're just going into power, you're going to ruin your precision and your accuracy and your spin. And so you kind of need to balance your power with these other four stats in order to get a swing that's more tried and true. I do feel like they were pretty generous with their experience points. Like, yeah, as you level up, you'll need to acquire more experience to level up again, but your missions that you acquire in the later game also provide you with more experience, and so it feels like you're very frequently leveling up in this game, which is a good feeling. And now, as far as like the currency goes that you'll be acquiring, you can also use this currency to buy new golf clubs that have different varying effects depending on what you're looking for. As far as the story goes, like the base story is you're kind of something of a loser, but you basically drop everything that's going on in your life to become a professional golfer because you are basically like trying to follow your dream. And the whole time throughout the whole story, the humor is so funny because like everybody is just dogging on you. Everybody is just putting you down and just saying that you're cheating and And it sounds really mean, like, as I'm saying it, but it's actually very humorously put. The characters in this game are also very charming, and I think where a lot of this charm comes from is the characterization of the text bubbles, like the timing of when this text is revealed, or like sometimes when somebody trails off like this, the text box will slant slightly. It actually reminds me a lot of like Undertale's characterization of the text boxes, and I think it really works in this game. One of my favorite characters is your coach who takes you on, and he basically like had an injury, so he can't golf as well, which led him to become a coach. And I really like his personality, and I like interacting with him. Sometimes they just have like funny, wacky scenes that have nothing to do with golfing, but more to like flesh out the characters a little bit. Like there's one where your coach and you are trying to prepare a dinner for a woman that coach really likes, and so he tries to like microwave a big roast as you're like trying to distract the woman to give him time to prep dinner. And so there's just like wacky, funnier situations, which I suppose some people may find annoying because it does distract from the actual gameplay. But I kind of see it as a nice break, because typical more boring golf games are more just like consistently playing on a course and trying to improve your score. But I feel like the story, the humor, the side missions really like break up the main gameplay, which is nice. Now, as far as like the side content, the side missions, it's not all just golfing. Like sometimes you're controlling an RC car. Sometimes you're trying to run around the course in record time. Sometimes you're piloting a drone. There's this whole side thing of playing discs. It's not called frisbee golf. And there are these groups of people who take like their frisbee golf really seriously. But you get a couple opportunities to play that. There's a whole like underground mini golf scene, which is pretty fun. And so yeah, you're going to be doing a lot of like these random little side missions if you want to accrue as much experience points and currency as possible. And a lot of them are related to golf, but it's more like, okay, in this more Halloween undead area, you are knocking these eyeballs, you're golfing these eyeballs into a skeleton's head. Or like the angry cheeky beak birds are going crazy because they are missing their eggs, and so you have to like golf their eggs back to them. I will say one of the more frustrating things about the side missions is there are some random difficulty spikes. Like some of these are surprisingly difficult that took me many tries to actually complete. And yes, for the most part, these things are optional, but I felt the drive, pun intended, to do all of the side missions and 100% complete this game. And so it can be frustrating, these like random difficulty spikes. I think that visually it looks really nice, and this is one of the earlier games that came out for the first Nintendo Switch, and I feel like it's one of the few games that really utilizes that HD rumble well. There was this one point where I was playing and with the volume off, and my golf ball went out of bounds. I was playing like in this area that's really high up into the air, and so if your golf ball falls off the cliff, I heard a little noise, a doo-woo-woo, and I was so confused because I could have sworn that my Switch, the volume was off, until I realized that it was actually like the rumble making these noises whenever your golf ball goes out of bounds. And I just think that's so cool when game designers and publishers are able to utilize the system's functions in a unique and interesting way. This game is surprisingly longer than I would have expected. Normally when you play like smaller indie type of games like this, you're expecting to get maybe like 5 hours of gameplay, but if you're really doing like all of the content available to you, it can take you 10 plus hours to beat this game. For me personally, it did start to feel like it was overstaying its welcome a little bit at the end there. I do kind of feel like the wackiness of the silliness of the story and the characters did start taking a backseat once you got to the more professional courses trying to make it big. But I do feel like for the majority of the game, it was really interesting and engaging. And I do feel like they did a good job of mixing things up with this golfing mechanic that they've set up. For instance, like you can just tee up wherever you want. You don't have to be actually golfing on a course in order to just drop a golf ball and hit it with your golf club. You can also just throw your golf ball if you want to. And so it is just fun, just kind of free roaming and just dropping a golf ball and hitting it and bouncing it off the roof of a building. There are also these secret big golf holes that are hidden in each of the different courses that you try to hit golf balls into. It was a really fun experience. I had a really good time playing it. I actually believe there's a sequel to this game called Sports Story that came out several years ago. I think I'm gonna have to investigate that one now. Overall, I think I'm going to give this game a 5 out of 5. I could see it not being everybody's cup of tea, but I think despite a couple of its flaws, I had a really good time playing it, and I look back at this game quite fondly. Well guys, that's it for me. Let me know if you have any questions or comments about Golf Story, and I'd love to hear what you have to say. Otherwise, I'll talk to you later. Bye!